All right, everybody. It's your boy, Pete Bogdanov. Today, we're here on another episode of Middle Minded. We have a special show today. Dave is off in Europe doing some family vacation and things. So I'm here with my friend, Johnny Dismal. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Johnny Dismal. I'm actually a guy who grew up with Dave. I'm sure you know this about me, but I've known him since '86.
Yeah.
We went to the same school, middle school, high school. One of my first bands was with Dave. And we've known each other since, '86, so however long that is.
I didn't realize it was that long. I got to know Johnny when I moved back to San Francisco this year, just as a mutual friend of Dave's, and I went to one of his art shows. Johnny paints, as well as he's a bass player. Any other instruments?
Guitar, sing. I've played in 40-something bands. I think 3 or 4 of those bands were with David, or D-Gab, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just played a show last night where I sang and played guitar in a room big enough for 500 people, and there's probably about 80 people there at the time I played. It's a big theater in Petaluma. And then a few nights before was at the Hotel Utah where you and your lovely wife came. Thank you very much.
We got a little vintage Utah. I hadn't been in the Utah since the 90s. It had been a long time since...
How was the food?
Huh?
How was the food?
That chili was so hot. Oh, my God.
Yeah? Like spicy or just temperature?
No, spicy hot. Even my wife, who was like a Nicaraguan descent, was like, oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
She couldn't believe I finished it. But I'm on an all meat and cheese vegetable diet, no carbs. So chili was the thing. So let's get into it. That's a little bit of our background. But today we're going to address the elephant in the room, and that is the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think I want to take the time to say that this is a very difficult topic. If you are going to comment, if you are going to make things, I suggest that you're peaceful about it and talk with some intelligence and refrain from anger and whatnot. And we're going to, or at least I'm going to speak for myself, although I'm very passionate and angry about this, I want to make sure that we talk about this as civilized adults that agree that conversation should be civil between intelligent adults and not turn into a clusterfuck of name
CNN
calling.
Screaming match?
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to.
Not at all.
Johnny is sitting in for Dave as your liberal voice in Middle Minded, and I'm actually a liberal, but I walked away from the left in 2017, and ever since I've been holding more of a traditional moderate libertarian kind of view, so I represent a little bit more right, and Johnny and Dave a little bit more left, but I'm always surprised at how all three of us have so much in common. We find so much middle ground. I think that's ultimately because we all are actually liberal. I'm just liberal in modern day times where I think the liberal party and leftist view has gone too far to the left and it's alienated and hurt this country. Yeah. And Dave and Johnny kind of give me this. And ultimately we're trying to find middle ground, right?
For me, I can't coin this phrase because somebody once said it, but I am politically homeless. That's the category I go by. Before I would say I'm more of a Carlinist, George Carlin, because I just think that guy was just on point with so many things he said. One, he was just fucking funny about it. But he just had so many points. I'm like, yeah, okay, that just makes sense. And I do have some libertarian ways. I constantly get accused of being a libertarian. I'm about 50% libertarian. Very liberal, depends on what it is. I get told I'm socially liberal and fiscally conservative is what I've been told. I don't know if that's 100% true. I just address whatever the issue is, whatever the thing that happened. I just want to just focus on that story and just understand how did it happen? Why did it happen? How can we prevent it from happening? What are the emotions? People reacting. How are people reacting? Is it good or bad? I just need to think about all the different angles of it and go, okay, this is where I stand on that. But ultimately, murdering somebody just because you don't agree with their political beliefs, it's like, well, why not just talk to them about it?
Yeah. I think we'll start right at the beginning. Where was I at when it came across my computer that Charlie Kirk had been shot, and that's where I came into this, because I saw a CNN headline that Republican activist Charlie Kirk has been shot.
Is he an activist? Is that the correct term for him? I don't
think he's an activist. I think he's a leader.
It's just like pushing back, and it's just almost exaggerating your story, being like, you need to believe this. Activism is just getting in someone's face a little more, where he does get in people's faces, but I think he presents it in a different, more civil way.
Yeah.
He is going to the campus. He's an older man going to these campuses.
I didn't think he was an activist, and I don't even want to misquote CNN.
Yeah.
What bothered me, what I'm trying to pinpoint where my frustration came from, is CNN put a headline out that a Republican voice was shot, and they didn't call it out for what it was.
Right.
Charlie Kirk was assassinated in a political assassination, and it pissed me off when CNN downplayed a political assassination and acted like he was just somewhere and got shot, like maybe someone got in a scuffle and there was defending going on, an argument, and he was a victim of a shooting. No, he was standing there innocently having a conversation on camera and got assassinated. Right. And it pissed me off that CNN wanted to give a soft headline on an assassination attempt instead of doing the thing. So I immediately went online and I said, Charlie Kirk, the left just killed Charlie Kirk. And obviously people on the left don't like that, but I wholeheartedly believe that leftist America has created such a vile culture with calling everybody Nazi and white supremacist and homophobe and transphobe, that this has ultimately led a slope into the left assassinating Charlie Kirk. But what do you say?
Well, those are, when you bring up that point, the way I view it as someone who just sits in the middle watching everyone scream at each other, putting a label on someone is a way to define them and make you emotionally feel that way, person. So if I said, you know what, Peter, you're a Nazi. Now everybody has a viewpoint of you, so no matter what you say, you're automatically this.
And when you use words like Nazis, you're automatically allowed to kill that person. Yeah, because you're automatically allowed to take Hitler out, take the Third Reich out, take all the people out. You're automatically, when you call someone a fascist, when you call someone a white supremacist, when you call someone a white nationalist, what you really mean is a white supremacist who likes America and not a human being who likes America. So you dehumanize.
Yeah, dehumanize.
You put this label that you call people Nazis, and then that allows you the superiority that you don't have to listen, you don't have to hear, you don't have to understand, you don't have to find common ground. You are now allowed to be violent.
It just shuts down the conversation. And this is a viewpoint I saw when the term punch a Nazi came out. The whole point of it, and I'm going to forget the guy's name. And it was a guy who was, let's just say, whether he was Nazi, he was way out there. Cannot remember the guy's name. There's a famous video of him getting punched in the face. Says some horrible things. There's a dude with a swastika armband. He gets punched in the face. People are like, punch a Nazi, punch a Nazi. This is a good thing. Like, okay, great. I can't completely argue with it, but though I'm anti-violence on this, the whole thing was, that's okay. Okay, now who do we punch? We punch these people at the top. Who's next? Well, let's go after these extreme conservatives. Let's go after these church-going people. Let's go after... once you get this line out, then you get rid of that. Now who's next on your hit board, whatever you have. And that's what the phrase was for.
As a liberal, defend this. And I'm a liberal too, so I'm trying to find defense of this. But they've been saying the left and the right, it's these two wings of the same bird, and they keep fighting, and they're trying to divide us, and there's equality in the name-calling between the left and the right. And I can tell you, unequivocally, I'm never going to agree with someone from the left that there's this equal argument going on. The left after 2016 called every single citizen in America that voted for Donald Trump a Nazi, supporting Third Reich, white supremacist, Ku Klux Klan, card-carrying human being. And that is the most vulgar name and group of people that human beings know. There is no worse insult to me than calling someone Hitler or a Third Reich. I would say even calling someone the N-word isn't as bad as calling someone a Nazi. Now, I think that's up to debate, but the N-word also gets used as a affirmation amongst black culture. So when black people call themselves my N-word, it's a term of endearment. So it's already softer. Nobody says my Hitler as a term of endearment. Like that doesn't happen. So what we, on people who want to be more conservative, moderate, right-focused, if you will, say is libtard, which is the same as a kindergarten kid saying you're stupid, you dummy. That's what it is. It's a kindergarten-level insult, calling someone a libtard, whereas calling someone Hitler, do you know, what's a worse insult than calling someone Hitler?
I don't know if there is really one. Just, you said it earlier, the whole point of it is to dehumanize you and make it okay for me not to like you. It's just painting a target on your back. I've already categorized you something without even hearing a word you had to say.
And over what? One sound bite? I'm 55 years old. You know how many sound bites I have in my life? So when I
say
was
stupid shit all the time.
When I was 22, you're gonna fucking eradicate me and put me in a concentration camp or assassinate me because something I said when I was 22. First of all, you're not, because when I was 22, I was really liberal and democratic, so I would have been saying the same thing you are. Now, at my age now, you're going to take one soundbite out of one thing I said online, and you're going to form an opinion that allows you to defame me, ruin my business, ruin my family, come after my money.
This is nothing new. Okay, so one of the things that I like to bring up and talk about is John Lennon. Famous quote. The media brought this famous quote when John Lennon said something like, we're more popular than the Bible. But what they didn't publish was the full quote, and I'm not going to say what I think. I'll tell you what I think the full quote was. Something like, the Beatles this year sold more albums than Bibles. So if you take that category, go like, well, I guess that means we're more popular than Jesus. And it was just, he's a smartass. He was just saying like, well, factually, we sold more records than Bibles. But at the time, the Christians, the Catholics, they got, it was great for media because like, oh, if we just print one out of the 4 lines, then everyone's going to think that's what was said. And it caused a huge stir and reaction. And then that became a story. And then that allowed them to continue to sell papers because that's the media's job, is to sell papers. And they're like, oh, well, that one little tiny story went from a one-day story to now this is a 3-month story because people are burning the records. People are protesting them, are freaking out because we took one line out of context, and then all this outrage, all this, what do you call it? It's like, what is it? Frankenstein's monster when the mob mentality aspect of like, oh, everyone's angry. We have to go storm the castle. Get the pitchforks, get whatever you got to get. Let's go get this monster. This is messed up. Well, no, that's because you just took one line. And it's like, I'm glad you posted that thing the other day about the quote of the Second Amendment and the shootings and stuff. People want to post that quote and attach it to this thing that happened, but nobody looks at what was the context of that quote. And I'm glad you posted that video to say, like, that quote he said was during this conversation about this particular thing.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to visit and revisit. They just want to say, oh, well, he said X during this moment. Well, then I could just attach that to anything.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works. That was a conversation for that day.
And I think it's also why a lot of people on the right, more right side of the aisle, even if they're in the middle, are having such a problem with the left, is this ability to violently take things out of context when me and Dave were having a podcast in episode 6, I think, we talked about the Charlottesville thing where President Trump said there was good people on both sides.
And then 41 seconds later, he said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists.
And even before that, he denounced
neo-Nazis.
If you take the whole context, he denounced white supremacy, and I mean, strongly denounced it.
You got to listen to the whole conversation.
Not even softly, strongly denounced it, and the left took it out of context. And here it was, years later, and an open-minded liberal still thought that Trump actually said that there was good white Nazis.
Because my point earlier, we were talking off camera, was some story breaks. And in the first 40 hours, these are the facts that people will live with for the rest of their lives. They don't follow and continue that story for years and years to come. They don't watch as more evidence comes out. They don't go, who is the shooter? Well, apparently the shooter, the Charlie Kirk shooter, his dad was religious or Mormon or something, and he comes from this Republican conservative family. That doesn't actually define who you are as a person. Just because your dad's an alcoholic doesn't mean you're going to be an alcoholic.
And how old is this kid? What do you do in your teenage years
22.
against your parents? You rebel. So this kid had a cop for a father, Jehovah's Witness, maybe it was Mormon.
We still don't know the facts and all the clues of the whole story. The story is being unveiled on us at the moment. So people are like, oh, well, he didn't fit your narrative. He wasn't transgender. He wasn't this, this, and this. It's like, okay, well, let's get all the clues, lay them out on the table, and figure out how to tell this story. How did we get here? Where are we going? But getting online and saying, I'm stoked this person died. It's like, do you know why you're stoked? Well, he said these horrible things. Okay, well, why did he say those things? How did he say them? What was the context? Who did he say them to? Was it in a conversation?
Well, let's for being organized, let's say, what are 3 things that the people that glorified Charlie Kirk's death said for their reasoning to being able to sentence somebody metaphorically to death, that a political assassination was good? What were the 3 categories? And I'll start. Charlie Kirk being misogynistic because he believes in family values that put a husband at the head of the household, a woman second in command, and then the children. And this is a very Christian thing, but this goes back to the first caveman who dragged a woman by her hair into a cave, where men have been the leaders of our society. We do the building, we do the war, and that puts us in a category of forced leadership where we have strength that trumps intellect, and it trumps these other things when it comes down to, especially when you're talking about rage and arguing, the bigger dude's gonna win unless there's a bigger gun around, and a bigger dude can hold a bigger gun. It even goes into that. So calling this man misogynistic because he holds a Christian value of what a husband, wife, father, and mother's role are in the family, that the father leads, that the wife is submissive to the father, and so on down the children. They, on the left, are calling that hate speech, that is a call for violence, that if he tells the world that men are the leaders of their marriage and their families, that is misogynistic and a reason to have assassinated Charlie Kirk. The second one, because we'll talk about these in a minute, was his religious foundation, hyper-specifically, I believe, to transgender and homosexual conversations. So as a Christian, the Bible preaches that over-sexuality of any human being, if a husband covets his neighbor's wife, he is being over-sexual, that's a sin. And that's straight people sinning in sex. If a daughter has sex before marriage, that's a sin. And Charlie Kirk holds these Christian values in a more classic sense, I think, than modern religion. And so the left now is able to use this category that he says, hey, everybody can be what they want to be, but if you have homosexual sex or transgender lifestyles, I don't agree with it.
Right.
As if we're supposed to agree with everybody's lifestyle all over the world. Like, I don't agree with Satanists throwing goats and worshiping the devil.
You don't love Anton LaVey?
No, I did not.
He's San Francisco.
For that matter, people will pick on me because I say something bad like Satanism. So you're comparing transgender and homosexuality to... No, I'm not.
That's somebody's belief is what you're trying to say. This is, yeah.
Yeah.
I get where you're going with this.
Like, there is nothing wrong with a human being thinking that men and women are what human beings are supposed to be. Life designed us to fit together. Right. And the other, not quite as much. You don't have babies when women have sex or when men have sex together. Like, there's a design to the husband and wife that this speaks to. And all this person did was say, I hold religious values, and this is Jewish values, this is Muslim values, this is Christian values. Mm-hmm. All God of Abraham, all three of these sects, and they all denounce homosexuality.
Even Chinese who are communists believe this.
Yeah, but and Charlie Kirk never once went out and told someone, I hate you because you're gay, or I hate you because you're transgender. In fact, he said the opposite. Right. He says, I love you, and I want you to use your body the way that life gave you your body, and I would rather talk to you about fixing your dysphoria mental disorder than I would be in affirming that you should cut off body parts and do things like that. Like, I don't want us to go into the trans debate. I just want to frame what Charlie Kirk's opinion was a godly opinion, one that said morally sexual debauchery is not in the best interest of humans, that a more evolved human would discipline himself from his gluttony, whether it be straight sex or gay sex, so gay sex comes in. And again, I'm like, that's just a difference of an opinion. Like, the whole world's not going to agree about transgenderism. It's never going to happen.
It's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't expect the whole world to agree with it.
No, the world's not going to agree on anything.
No.
Never. There's no utopia.
Except for that our art is really good.
Yeah.
Well, I get criticized every now and then for it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the goofy stuff.
So we have the misogyny being mislabeled and used to abuse somebody. We have the transgender and homosexual
and sexualized, just because straight sex in there too. You mentioned
that's what I mean.
I can almost categorize all of it.
The Bible doesn't.
The Bible
actually attacks straight people sexually way more.
That's important to say because people don't ever pick up on
They
that.
don't pick up on
I've
that.
never read it, but that's
the whole. I was watching Bill Maher laugh at the Ten Commandments as whatnot. I'm like, what? Thou shalt not steal is so hard to understand.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not murder. That's so hard to understand.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's like, thou shalt not commit adultery. That's not hard to understand.
These are basic rules.
If two people agree to be monogamous and one of them goes out and not monogamous, they just.
That's a problem.
You may not call it a sin,
Yeah.
but they've committed a crime against a contract that they set with their spouse.
Yeah.
And then gluttony. Gluttony doesn't just speak to eating too much freaking ice cream.
Yeah.
Too much sex is considered gluttony. So the Bible apprehends heterosexuality more than it does homosexuality. There's only one verse about lesbianism in the Bible, and it does denounce it. And then there's multiple ones on homosexuality, but I think it's 3 times.
Right.
In the whole entire Bible.
It's a long book. There's a lot of words in that book.
But there's probably 200 times
right.
where the Bible and God or whoever the disciples or who wrote the Bible, whoever you give it credit, whether it was God who wrote it or man that wrote it, it tears into straight heterosexual people and their sexuality. The hooker Mary. Like the prostitute Mary, he didn't condone prostitution and say, come be next to Christ as a prostitute. He went and said, hey, put down the sucking dick and taking it in the ass for money and then come be closer to God. I've got this beautiful thing to share with you. But you weren't allowed to do tricks on the way to the church.
Right.
But that's how I think leftists spin it is, but Jesus loved prostitutes. No, he did not love prostitution.
The idea was to help.
Yeah.
To be a loving, kind voice.
Yeah. And I think in modern religion, most Christians are very loving and caring. Yeah. I didn't say all. Not by a long stretch. There's no such
thing. All is not a thing in any category. It doesn't matter. An asshole is going to exist in every category. That's just a fact. But what's your third point? You wanted to get to category number 3, right?
Well, I'm asking. I would say chime in if you have a third. I know the misogyny is one that's big for me because I have a traditional
and then
husband, father, child relationship with my wife, and she's Catholic. I'm what's called agnostic. I'm not atheist. I'm agnostic.
Yeah, I'm agnostic as well.
So that attack hurt me personally, and it's part of my passion against the left is you're attacking traditional heterosexual family units and how we go about protecting our families and sharing our belief system, and we're no longer allowed to share our belief system. As straight heterosexual people, you tell us that we're forcing our kids not to be gay because we don't want them to be gay, and that's not what's happening. We're just telling people that this works really well. You want to grow up and have kids and be married, well, this works really well. So I think the gay transgender, I think, is one, you're right, it's like one thing. It has to do with non-traditional sex roles. And that why Charlie Kirk said that he did hate speech. Is there a third, or am I wrong?
I would say a third. One of the things was they feared what he had to say, whether he was right or wrong. They fear, it always comes back to control. It's like, is he saying something that holds truth, that's valid? Because if you were just to do what most of us middle people would do is like, okay, let me hear your point. Let me hear your argument. Let's hear what you have to say. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe it's not what I believe, but I got to hear what your take was on situation A, B, or C, whatever it is. And that's all he was doing, was saying, these are my beliefs. Let me hear, ask me some questions, and I'll tell you how I feel and think about those questions. I'm not always a big fan of the gotcha moments. It doesn't matter who's having them. I don't always, it's like, one thing I'll say I didn't like about Charlie Kirk were Charlie Kirk obliterates liberal. I'm not always a fan. Those are just headlines to me.
I think that's a really good point. It's actually something I didn't give credit to the left for. And I'm going to stop right here and give a little bit of credit because, it's not just the left that headlines and tries to come up with the catastrophic knee-jerk reaction, antagonizing headline. The right does it as well, and the right definitely did it with Charlie Kirk's content.
They did it a lot.
Because he's a highly successful debater. He's very good at winning debate, and that's his job. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the people that went up against him, they're not debaters. They don't do this professionally.
No, they're not
debaters. They came up without...
Not as fun.
They didn't have an arsenal. It was like a 8th grader going up against a doctor. Like I wouldn't want to debate Jordan Peterson right now.
No way.
That motherfucker's so much smarter than me. I'd be at such a disadvantage.
And his suits. You see that dude's suits, man? I'd be like, are you kidding me? I need to lose some weight so I can look that good?
That good.
And that guy's hair and his beard.
Well, so third point, Charlie Kirk got assassinated because he was highly successful. He won at what he did. But I think more to your point, and I'm conceding a point here, is you're damn right. The right did antagonize the left by doing all the gotcha moments.
But then also the left does that, and that's going back to I don't even know what the quote was about him, about the Second Amendment and school shootings and something. That's a gotcha moment for the left. Like, is it a gotcha moment? Y'all just keep repeating this line, but you don't know what that line means.
Did you watch the clip came from?
I haven't gotten to that yet because
I just watched it the other day. I knew the sound bite and I knew it was taken out of context, but I hadn't watched that whole episode.
I want to get to the watching that and just be like, okay, because to me that's more interesting. I don't care if there's no such thing as a gotcha moment in my sense because we're always evolving and the way we think and how we speak and all that. And it's like I've noticed this with my leftist liberal friends, and it's mostly my more extreme side of friends, that someone does some research and thing happens, Charlie Kirk gets shot, and within the first hour, someone digs up a quote, one line, and they post that, and then everyone reposts that as if it's their quip that they came up. Oh, I thought of this really clever thing. I'm just going to say this thing for argument's sake. It's like, well, do you even know what that means? Did you hear the whole conversation? Was that a 3-minute conversation? Was it an hour conversation? What is the context of that line? Where and how did that line come out? So, but you don't do that research. You just post the quip because I got to get one on Republicans or conservatives or anyone who disagrees with me.
Here's a side tangent that is probably worthwhile in this conversation is, has humanity poisoned itself with this damn phone, with this internet in your pocket, with social media in your pocket? We already know that screen time went from a couple hours a week back in early 2000s to now it's, you know, I mean, it's 30-40% of people's lives are on the internet now, and I think we've poisoned ourselves with an instant gratification dopamine hit. I think the major players, Zuckerberg and YouTube's and TikTok, they've all knowingly and on purpose for capital gain have knowingly seduced human beings into doom scrolling. And they do not care that they're poisoning us, that they've created a behavior of anger and recycled and dopamine hits. And I think there's a broader picture here where I don't think the left is brainwashed. I think all of us are brainwashed. So let's meet in the middle on the fact that if we're all going back to this much screen time and this much anger and this much echo chamber, like this person said he's Hitler, I said he's Hitler, he's Hitler.
He must be Hitler.
He must be Hitler. And that's all you needed to cast him guilty.
Let me ask you this. Like,
you didn't need a world war. You didn't need 10 million Jews dead.
Yeah.
Just two people agreeing.
What's the difference between the cell phone today and everyone on social media and the difference between the 50s, 60s, and 70s when there's just 3 channels, right? JFK gets shot and assassinated. How many hours were people glued to the TV? What happened? Who killed him? Like, just watching that story unfold. And there's 2-3 channels, and then back up, you know, when it was just newspapers. Like, it's just this entity thing, this device, because newspapers existed, and there was always something to sensationalize people and get them to focus and pay attention. Someone's always going to benefit from these things, and it's another way to control people. Like, oh, you're all distracted by this horrendous thing that happened, and now just instead of being on the newspaper or being on TV and cable TV, and that's why CNN and Fox are mad, is because only old people watch that stuff, and we're not old yet. And while the younger generation is Facebook. Actually, Facebook is for people over 40.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok is for the young kids. That's where they are. They're catching they like the 30-second clips.
Did you ever think about, like, so one of my things that I say that the reason these things are happening, like this assassination, is that we are the most manipulated people in human history, because the people with the power and money knew that if you just spread a narrative across the internet and 10,000, 2 million people talk about it, you amplify. But what happened in the 50s, 60s, when we only had a TV with 3 stations on it, is that, so what I'm saying is, how scary it is when they only had 3 stations. They had full-on control of us, because everybody watched the same channel. Yeah. Now we've got 10,000 channels. I don't have to listen to 60 Minutes if I don't like 60 Minutes. So I'd say that we're manipulated now, but I almost wonder, like back in the 50s and 60s, were we more manipulated because they had the totalitarianism of an audience?
That's my point I'm trying to get. That's kind of my question.
100% of the audience was on those 3 channels.
Yep.
And now when you talk, you're only talking to your echo chamber or sound bites and whatnot. So and I do wonder this. One of the things that I bring up is in the Hitler thing. I'm of Russian descendant. My name's Bogdanov. I'm half Russian. My other half is Irish and Scottish. But in World War II, the United States didn't defeat Hitler. Matter of fact, in the United States, his death toll was so small that in comparison to Russia, for example, or Japan, or China, or Germany, the death toll for Americans was tiny. 20 million people died in Russia, to give an example. There was 8 million dead soldiers, 12 million dead civilians, because the war happened on their turf. The war happened in Europe next to Russia, and 20 million dead Russians before they got Hitler back in his bunker and won and grabbed control of the war. It was not America that won World War II. But on American television, guess who they said won World War II?
We're going to pump each other up.
Yeah, like, we were that bad. We did this.
We played a part. We played a huge part. But how huge is that part?
And then we went out after Germany's defeated, after it's over, and we go drop 2 nuclear bombs on Japan on cities. Yeah. You're talking about a genocide of women, children, elderly, anybody who was in that city.
That was a statement to the world to be like, don't fuck with us.
Talk about
we have something so crazy that you guys didn't even think of.
And they didn't have, the thing is they didn't have to throw it. So Americans use this thing, we're going back to this TV and how we get manipulated. Americans think we're this hero. What we wore when we dropped those 2 bombs was the biggest monster in human history, and we did it on women, children, and elder. Anybody who was in those cities got fucking annihilated in a half a second, and the war was already won.
Yeah. It's like 2 days after they signed the treaty.
America, like if you watch the Oppenheimer movie, they talk about well, we did it because we thought about how long it would take to get Japan to succumb, and financially it would have been more deaths and more money, so we just dropped the bomb to get rid of it and call it good. No, what you did was the most genocidal act in human history as Americans.
It didn't need to be done.
It didn't need to be done.
That's a whole other story.
And then we called ourselves heroes for doing it, but we killed more people in freaking 2 bombings than, I don't know, pick your freaking, your Genghis or whoever else you want to go in history, call a monster.
And that's the thing is, there's always been monsters. There's always a monster. There's always another bigger beast. There's always a bigger person with a bigger gun. They've always existed throughout history.
They're always going to exist.
And they're always going to exist. And that's the thing is, what I prefer is to amplify voices, more positive voices, more people who are trying to find a way to connect. Like, one of my takeaways, to get back to Charlie Kirk, one of my takeaways, what I would love to try to tell some of my left-leaning friends, find a conservative, whether you got to hug them or whatever the deal is, and just talk to them. Sit down and ask them how they are feeling. Because one of my things I did was I reached out to my conservative and Republican friends. And no matter what people think, I'm not conservative or Republican, but I reach out, hey man, how you doing? How you holding up? Do you need a hug? Do you need to go for a walk? What do you need? Do you want to talk about it? Because I think you need to validate their emotions and what they're going through. I've seen people post like, oh, just one guy, he got shot and killed. There was a school shooting. Yeah, okay, we can mourn that too. But right now, people need a week or 2 weeks. I don't know how long you need to mourn this whole situation. Great, maybe you need 2 days, maybe you need a week, 3 weeks. I don't know what you want. Whatever you need to mourn the shooting and assassination of Charlie Kirk, I want to give that to you. So my thing would be for liberals and left-leaning people is reach out to your conservative friends, talk to them, ask them how they're feeling, ask them, is there something about Charlie Kirk that I missed? What did I know that he stood for? Because I'm hearing these bad things about him. Is that true? Because if I don't know anything about him and I'm hearing he's a Nazi, this and that, I'm just going to believe he's a Nazi. Me personally, I dig a little deeper than that. But my point being is just talk to people. Listen to them a little bit more. Find the common ground. Find that middle-mindedness. Find it. Where does it exist? And like, oh, we do 90% agree on most things. It's that 10% that gets amplified to be bigger than it really is.
It's the clickbait, and we're all into this. I mean, we could go on for days about how poisonous the internet is and how bad it's been for human beings. Because, in my opinion, if I could change one thing in the world right now, I would take the phones out of everybody's hands. Okay. That's instantaneously what I would do. Is I don't know if I would do it from outlawing phones, but I would take the internet and social media away from humanity, because all it has done is made us worse. And if you think about it, let's go back to the 50s. This is the thing that bothers me in my lifetime, because I'm old enough to have lived half a century. I'm 55, going into 56 this year. So I knew in the 70s, I might have been young, but by the 80s, I understood the 70s. And by the 90s, I understood both. And you live decades, and you have this thing called wisdom of ages. Like, you have a clock that is intelligent through 5 decades, not 22 years old. And you really only have 1 decade, because the first decade, you're in your diapers. It's not until you're a teenager that you start developing intellect and personality. So when a 20-something tries to say and discount older people, I'm like, you're a fool. You're an absolute
That's wisdom
fool.
right there.
You're discounting wisdom for your ambition or your whatever.
There are literally tribes and jungles that go, my elder, what do you think? They look for that advice. They count on those people for advice.
Yeah.
You've lived a long time. Should we go that way? I know that bear has killed 20 people in the last 20 years. Should we try to fight it? Maybe you should go that way. You know, I've seen this story play out. Maybe that's not the direction we should go. We should go this way.
It's one of these things, I think, in society right now that the youth has gotten so arrogant that they don't know how to recognize wisdom. I had said a quote in one of my posts after Charlie Kirk, and I put up, the left killed, assassinated Charlie Kirk. Right. People didn't like that. I don't care if you like that. I believe calling people Nazis for 12 years ended up with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because you feel that he's a Nazi, you feel he's a white supremacist. It doesn't matter how gentle he is, doesn't matter he doesn't have a criminal record, doesn't matter that he didn't shoot up Jews or...
You painted that target, and now you said punch a Nazi, he's a Nazi.
He's a Nazi, you get
punch his lights out.
But you never freaking proved it. You never proved it over Trump. You never proved it over, Republican Americans. Going back to the quote, so I don't forget it, I was quoting an understanding of the art of war. Mm-hmm. And somebody was talking from a leftist standpoint and was insulting myself and a couple people in this thread. And they were basically saying, somebody had put a verse in the Bible, and it was about arguing with an opposing force that you can't get through. So it's a fool's game to argue with somebody that you can't argue stupid. If somebody's not intelligent enough to get your argument, it's stupid to argue with them. And then my quote was from The Art of War, which kind of fascinates me, is that if you're on a battlefield and you're a general, you should most likely not think of yourself as the smartest general on the battlefield. You should actually consider that your opponent might be the smartest general on the battlefield. Thus, you might learn how to defeat him. Because if he's smarter than you, and you acknowledge it, and you let down your ego, and you learn from this other general that you're in fight with, you can use his intelligence against him. But if you're so egistical to say that, oh, you quoted the Bible, fuck off. You quoted the Bible, you're an idiot, you believe in fairy tales. Is it any more idiotic to not believe in God than it is to believe in God? I mean, none of us know. There ain't nobody who knows. So calling either side of biblical or God idiots, it's stupid when you could learn. And the Bible quote that this person, my friend of mine, gave was highly educational. It didn't need to be about God. It wasn't even about God. It was talking to a person about how to deal with something. It was wisdom. It was a good poetic wisdom. And this person insulted, skipped over it, didn't learn a damn thing. And that's when I quoted The Art of War on learning that you're not the smartest person in the room. And when you let down your ego, you actually become one of the smartest people.
We never stop learning.
Yeah.
What's the quote? You can always teach an old dog new tricks. One of the jobs I do for a living is I travel around the country working festivals, managing beer gardens and stuff like that. Every time I'm working, I'm always picking up a new, I didn't even think about doing it that way. I've been doing it for 22, 23 years. I'm like, that's better than what I would have come up with. You can always learn. There's always value you can get out of just talking to people.
Yeah. I'm at the absolute, near the top of tattooing and the type of work that I do. And every time I go to a tattoo convention, every time I visit a buddy at their shop, he's tattooing, and all you see me is what is he doing? How far out is his needles? How fast is his hand moving? How did he water down his ink? And it doesn't even matter if I know what he did. I'm still looking for a little
There's
secret
a reason
sauce.
We have art galleries full of paintings from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I even saw a piece of art from 13,000 years ago recently. It's from Egypt. It's dated 13,000 years ago. And when I look at it, I was like, that line and the way they did their eye, I never even thought about drawing it that way. All right, I just learned a new way to draw the eyeball. You like to draw eyeballs.
You noticed, huh?
You can, just a little bit. Yeah, it's but you could still find another way to draw that line, another way to paint it. Oh, what if I didn't do this color and I just shaded this way and add a little bit of this? and I did it from this angle. There's always another way to paint the eyeball.
What this damn technology and phone and social media has done has made us all idiots. I fear with AI coming on, we're going to be more idiotic. And even those that use AI as a tool, not as a replacement.
That's what I do.
That's how I use it a lot, but I use it as a tool, not a replacement. I treat AI like it's an employee of mine. Happens to be the most well-behaved employee of mine. I don't have to worry about AI's feelings.
It's not arguing with you.
I even tell AI how it's allowed to talk to me.
Right.
Like, no, you can't be sarcastic with me. So let's get, I feel like Charlie Kirk, let's go back to our outline. One of the things that bothered both of us, and it bothered me immensely, is I saw a lot of liberal people and my 7,000 friends on Facebook just praising a political assassination and calling Charlie Kirk an evil and violent person who spread division because he had an open debate in a microphone and invited intellectual conversation with the people who he opposed, as well as it's funny, all the sound bites were with people he opposed, but he also had conversations with people that they didn't oppose. And I want to go back to the first one that bothers me the most, and that is misogyny is some act of violence. Because it's the biggest one that everybody's saying is, but he's misogynistic because he believes that men are fucking greater than women, and you label him misogynistic, that you have every right to approve that assassination.
So then why are you pushing it, not you, but why are they pushing their beliefs onto him?
Onto him.
Why, then that's the question, because I personally don't believe in pushing my beliefs on others. I'll tell you how I believe in what I feel, but I'm not going to force you to feel that.
If we all have the same way, how do we learn? How do we evolve? When they made a light bulb, it was because somebody had a new idea.
Yeah.
So without new ideas, how does evolution happen? Yeah. So you telling other people that they can't have ideas different than you.
It's like being an art teacher, being like, okay, the best way to do a painting is you start and you put some gesso on the canvas, this and that. Then you do a line drawing, a sketch drawing, and then you do this. Like, here's the ways I think you should start that painting. But what if you're like, I don't want to do it that way. I just want to just go get a big thing of primer, just throw it on the canvas. And I'm not going to even do a line drawing. I'm going to do the Francis Bacon thing where he would just sketch on the canvas with the paint.
Yeah.
He never did line drawing. And he would just, when he started that painting, he just started that painting. He says, I feel like doing this. Where me, I'm going to go to In-N-Out, get a burger, put some headphones on, listen to whatever I'm going to listen to, my podcast, usually comedy, and I'm going to sit there and just sketch, and I'll look around the room, and I'll look at people. That's how I do it. That's my process. Everyone has a different process. Everyone has a different process of life. Everyone, if you and your wife decide the way your process of life is, you're the head of the household. You're going to handle these things. You're going to be the protector. These are the things that our partnership, our contract, we decided how we're going to do it. And it doesn't matter how you feel it should be done. This is what we decided.
So why?
Charlie Kirk has his way. They're just upset that that's their way of doing it, and it works for them.
Yeah, that's
so they're
just
mad.
it. Like,
it works for them.
It works for them. They both agree to it.
Then who cares? Then shut the fuck up.
Like, my wife is Catholic. She believes that a man is the head of the household.
Right.
She also believes that women are freaking awesome and equal.
Yeah.
And so do I.
Yeah.
But when it comes to making decisions and like, I'm the head of my household. My kids would, if you ask my children when they were 8 years old, 16 years old, now that they're 30 years old, if you asked them who is the head of your household, they're going to say dad.
Okay.
Unequivocally, that's just how.
I'm gonna give you a different scenario, because in my family, most people think my dad was the head of the household. And in a sense, he brought in the most money. He was the one who was always out getting the money. He was in the Air Force for 24 years, drafted during the Korean War. My mom would stay home, take care of the kids, do all the feeding. But when my dad retired, my mom went out and did the work. She got the job, brought home the bacon, as they would say back then. My dad taught me how to do laundry, taught me how to dry. He taught me how to clean, how to cook. He taught me all the roles that would normally be traditionally women. And like, overall, I look at the overall arch of my parents, who were fucking amazing, by the way. Everyone loves my parents who meet them. They just took on different roles at different times in life. When my sister and brother were around, my dad was taking that more role. And then when I got older, my mom took on this role in a different way. They were always equal. In some sense, my mom kind of ruled the house, because when my dad came home and he's like, we're going to do this, that, and she's like, She kind of different, but it's for different reasons, though. Well, and so everyone takes on different roles.
Yeah, because I say that in my family, the father is the head of the household. And this is what annoys the crap out of me about the left, is that when I say I'm the head of the household, all of a sudden you call me a misogynist dick who doesn't respect my wife.
Right. Not at all.
My wife is a far superior being than me.
Yeah.
She teaches me morality. She keeps me in goodness.
Keeps you grounded.
She is my sanctuary when the world beats me down as a provider and as a leader.
Yep.
And she's the one person that I can go into her sanctuary and just be loved. And as such, she's so much better of a human being. We're equal. But that doesn't mean that she's the fucking general.
It doesn't mean she's lesser.
I'm the it's a chain of command. That doesn't mean that because you're not the general and you happen to be a colonel that you're disrespected. And I get so frustrated because the left says if a man is the head of the household, that it automatically means the woman is some second-class citizen who doesn't care. And it's not it. It's a chain of command.
And my question for you would be simple. Does it work for the two of you?
No, it works amazing. We've
then
been
shut
together
the fuck
for
up.
32 years.
Then you got nothing to say. Then nobody's got anything to say about your relationship. That is what works for the two of you.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's just
back
as simple
to the
as
Charlie Kirk thing. This is one of the major reasons why he's called violent, is because he
wanted to tell that story. This is what works for his family. This is what works for so many families. He's just saying, here's a positive outsource. Here's a positive way to do something. He's not saying it's the only way. He never said it's the right way. He says it's the way that works. And maybe he did. Maybe there's points where he did argue that that's the right way.
I mean, I think he does argue the biblical side of this.
Sure.
And I'm, not being Christian, I don't argue that. I argue the natural side of it, that men are bigger, aggressive, stronger, and when you own force, you own leadership. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Even when a queen of a country has a queen without men intellectually agreeing to be her force, if they decide that they don't like her or want her, they just remove her, and there's nothing that she can do about it.
Right.
And that may be a controversial opinion for you, but the reality is the bigger being wins.
Right.
And in men and women's case, men are not only bigger, we're more aggressive.
Way more violent. There's a reason why there's more men in jail than women. It's like 91% are men.
And there's a reason why the building you're in right now was built by a man, is cinder blocks are heavy. And lumber and whatnot is heavy, and
could have been designed by a woman, but the physical part of it was like 95% built by men.
And let's face it, we've had feminism for decades. If women wanted to be the concrete block lifters, and they wanted to lift giant beams and to build, they would be there. Like, nobody's stopping women from being there. A woman. I have a firefighter friend of mine who quit the fire force. He went back into the police department because the fire department decided to lower the standard and allow women firefighters. He was a 230-pound male, and he was like, you go into the building in a pair of twos, and whether you get out alive or not is up to your partner's ability to carry you out. And she cannot carry me out. I'm not going to be a firefighter anymore because the fire department broke the laws of physics. And I'm going to be dead when I'm trying to save someone's life. I'm being a hero, and I'm going to die because semantics that were equal.
I don't mind having some basic standards. That's a basic line. Like, if you can't carry 230 pounds out of a burning building, then maybe this job isn't for you.
And I'm not saying don't be a firefighter. I'm saying stay outside where you don't need to lift that kind of weight.
Or there's something else you can do to be a part of this thing to help it.
Yeah. And if you're a man, you know that. Like, we always push the limits. I got myself killed in a surfing accident because I was in waves I shouldn't have been in. Like, this is just saying, don't do that to yourself. Keep yourself within your
physical abilities
and
what you can and can't do.
That subject is the one that bothers me the most because I don't understand. I think if a gay couple wants to be a gay couple, then they're strong and they can do it. Great. If a lesbian couple, great. If a husband and wife want to be a husband, great. Like I just mentioned, my friend who's smaller than his larger wife, and she's the dominant. Great.
Some people are into that kind of shit. I got a friend who's like, he weighs like 110 pounds, and he's like 35, and he's into women that are like 350 pounds and about 30 years older than him. That's what he likes. Like, cool, man. Hey, if that's what you're into, I'll tell you a place to go for that, you know?
Yeah.
There's a place for everybody.
Yeah. The idea that I say I prefer something or that I think something would be... You know, I think what Charlie Kirk did is he said, I prefer it, but I also think it would be better for humanity. And I think that's what really...
All right, so is that the part that part that resonates with people?
Like I would think that Charlie Kirk might have believed that a humanity without homosexuality or transgender would be healthier humans in a better form of evolution. Now, I don't hold that case because I owned a porn company in my past. I'm a very sexual person. Yeah. Although I'm monogamous to my wife and heterosexual, I'm a very, very open. Like sex is it's not a sin to me, so I don't care what people do. But what is wrong with somebody having, even if it's innovative or traditional or historic, what is wrong with somebody having an idea? Like, just play that out. Be an intellectual. Stop being scared of he hates and whatnot. But why don't you just go explore the idea? What if humanity didn't have these two things? Would it be better evolution or worse evolution? And here's where I have a problem is, how is the level of sex that society is pushing right now better for human evolution?
Are they just trying to carve a little piece of pie out in this little thing? Because like with the sexuality thing, if you want to talk about homosexuality and being gay and all the things, like, I just think people are just trying to find where they exist in this world. Where is it? Where's my line? Where's my community? Where's my place to belong in this world? Because I think there's a place for everybody. Personally, I just think there's enough room for all of us. I think there's enough room for you to have your traditional family. Two gay dudes want to get together. A woman wants to become a man, and a guy, all the things. There's enough room for all of us. Because there's also, you know, you can always make the argument about, like, two gay guys get together and they want to have a kid. They might go adopt. Maybe they can adopt 2 or 3 children. They make a lot of money.
It's one of the things
they can afford it, and it's something that could be talked about more.
What do you think about this? Like, I'm on this. One of the things on this argument that I don't necessarily agree with Charlie Kirk. Like, I don't care that there's gay people, or lesbian people, or bisexual people.
Great tippers.
The gender thing, I'm not very comfortable with.
Maybe that takes time. Maybe that's something with time. Maybe it's not. Maybe you need more understanding.
Well, it doesn't
or not.
exist
I don't
without.
know.
It doesn't exist without plastic. You need surgeries. You need medicines that are not natural. There is no tree you can go drink the sap of and turn yourself more feminine. That is a manufactured pharmaceutical treatment that never existed before. So transgender, transsexual sex changes are not possible. They haven't done a successful transsexual surgery where someone's become a woman. And I think that's why they came up with gender spectrum, is they know they can't legally say they can change you from a man to a woman. They can't legally do that because they can't legally do that. They can't physically do that. So I think they came up with the transgender spectrum because we can legally say we can throw you out on this spectrum. And you started a man, but we can get you to 80, 70% towards a woman. I'm going to push back a little bit on this. And now you're a woman.
I want to push back a little bit on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because in college, I took a test that it says, like, here's what a woman is and here's what a man, and here's the whole spectrum, here's the field, and you're going to fill out a 50 questionnaire course on this thing, and it's going to tell you where you line up in it. I think I ended up more like in the middle towards a woman, because I'm an artist, so I'm super fucking sensitive, right? Yeah. I'm super sensitive to feelings. These are just what at the time were considered more female attributes, XX as opposed to XY, and these were male, and it's like, I always view it as it is a spectrum. Like, you can pick, like, I can be super manly at work. I can lift a bunch of things, and I'm driving forklifts. I'm doing all these things that are supposed to be completely manly. But then at night, I'm going to go home and watch videos and fucking cry because I'm so emotional with things. Does that make me more female? Does that make me more male? Or is it, that's the thing I think about the spectrum. It's just like, where do you line up in this giant
or is it a symptom of the decade over decade reduction in male testosterone over the last 50 years? Because we've lost 50% of our testosterone. This isn't gay men, isn't trans men. This is human beings have been tracked on their testosterone levels. And over 5 decades, we've lost 50% of the average male testosterone. Okay. So I think this is like, but nobody asked why. Like, why did that? What did they do to us?
You should always ask.
What did they do to us
yeah.
that caused testosterone to drop?
Yeah.
What the same thing? The fertility of women has dropped 25%. Like, it's ridiculous how much women have dropped. And then obviously, I think women are becoming more masculine too in the feminist equality debate.
Well, where I work festivals a lot of the times. Like I do like Coachella, and I used to do Outside Lands and Bottle Rock and all these big festivals, and I do the Super Bowl and all around the country. And for the longest time, it was always the men were in charge. Older dudes were always in charge. And slowly the women came into the office, and now those men got out, and now it's mostly women running things. And a couple things I've noticed was when the men were in charge, like, oh, let's just go lift things and let's just do things. Let's just do it. But with the men, it wasn't always so organized. When the women came in, they did less lifting, but they brought in a whole nother nurturing, organizing way. I go into the office, and in the office, instead of just being just a bunch of paperwork and guys like, grunt, let's move stuff, it was, oh my God, there's a fridge with snacks in it? Oh, you brought a whole different side to things. That snack fridge and like candy and cookies and stuff like that, it made me more comfortable at work because I need a break. I need to go get a snack where the guy's like, oh, we'll just push through and just eat later, you know? It's like, oh no, it brought on a whole nother thing, and it brought this nice sensitive side, and it brought a way more organized side, but we still need to do the heavy lifting because they started bringing more women in for the heavy lifting. And what I noticed was women started to fight and bicker more. One difference is between men and women. Men, it's like, if you and I don't get along, we're just not going to get along for an hour. The next day, it's like, well, we still got to load that truck. We're still going to load the truck. I'm like, fuck you, Peter. I don't like you, but we got to load the truck. Where the women are like, oh, I can't work with her.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times at my job I was told, these two ladies can't work together because they don't get along. Or these two guys don't get along, but they could still work under the same tent, just separate
It's
them.
the part of the feminist thing. I don't agree in modern day feminism at all. Probably the traditional side of me, because they assume because women aren't violent or aggressive or testosterone filled that they would make a better leader. And it's the same. It's the same crap as the other side.
There's different problems.
It's just a different angle. It's a different problem.
Yeah.
And you and I agree that when men and women do it together, it's probably best, because you're going to get the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, I think in modern society...
Just trying to find how it works, though, because we had a transition for years and years at the company. I was there for 23 years, and we had to figure ways this new thing transitioned this way, but it naturally did that because a lot of the women that got in charge, they were also working side by side with us. They were just as badass as us, or even more. Like, my one good friend, she would climb mountains on her days off. But, like, they were just as badass, and they did the work, and they showed you, we can throw down just as much. They just brought a different angle. They looked at it they problem solved in a different way, and it worked. I loved it.
You and I like to find the good, I think, in the positive and
there's always a positive and a negative.
And I wish the world would be more like that. This Charlie Kirk thing is just so disturbing, because instead of finding some wisdom in each side, we're doing the attack, and I'm not going to apologize. The left killed Charlie Kirk. Right. I'm not coming off of that stance. Somebody was making the argument that, he was a Republican, he was a Jehovah's Witness, and he was a Republican. He was not a Republican. He was leftist. His friends have always said it. He got these shell cases, like the evidence is coming out, and it wouldn't even matter. What would be a Republican's reason to kill one of the largest figureheads in a conservative movement? It would be to move a narrative.
Or turn him into a martyr.
As a strategy of war,
right.
Is that you make martyrs, and which would mean that who killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great T-shirt. Who killed Charlie Kirk?
I would argue
that's a great title right there. Who killed Charlie Kirk?
Who really killed Charlie Kirk? Was it the guy with the gun, or was it the ideology from the left, or was it a martyr narrative from the right? And my problem with this is all roads lead back to the left killed Charlie Kirk for me, because when you called a traditional husband who believes in Christian family and you made him a white supremacist, Hitler, Nazi, you've created a dialogue where you're not even human anymore. Right. And 12 years of this too. It's not like, and the funny thing is 12 years of calling 200 million Republicans Nazis and white supremacists, but not one film of a football stadium filled with Nazi white supremacists. Right. Like, you would think if there was 200 million white supremacists, that they might might be so emboldened to show up in a stadium and be white supremacist in public. But have you ever been invited to a KKK meeting?
You know what? I think I have.
Have you?
I think me and Dave, there was a guy I worked with in Boston in the 90s, and he just fit the narrative, the look, and all this stuff. And it was one of those days, one of the guys I worked with was like, I think he's in the KKK. I think he's in one of those groups. And he was a sweet dude, and we worked in Boston.
Don't let that get out of context.
Yeah.
Well, did you just call a Klansman a sweet dude?
Well, he came off that way. Like, yeah, he's always nice, he's friendly. Like, you'd see him around, like, we had these young, like these 10-year-old, 12-year-old black kids would come in all the time, and he'd always be so nice. Oh, here, let me be super helpful. But then, like, I don't know, there was a dark side to him. And then one day it was like, oh, what are you doing, Bobby? Whatever his name was. I don't even remember what his name was. So long ago. He's like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with some friends. Oh, yeah, what, do you got a meeting to go to? He's like, yeah, what kind of meeting is that? And I just like kind of was just joking around. And I kind of hinted at like it might have been like some white supremacist KKK meeting. He didn't say no. He just kind of gave me a look like, is there something? I went, oh, shit.
I'm having a little bit of a gotcha moment because at 55 years old, being Russian, and for the last 12 years, because I didn't allow leftists to call my family members Nazis after Trump won the presidency, and I voted for Clinton and just didn't want them calling people Nazis, I became... they instantly called me a Klansman, instantly called me a Nazi. They've been calling me a Nazi for 12 years. I've had to live under people calling me Hitler and all this stuff because I believe in traditional family values.
Right.
And there's obviously no proof or anything. But in my 55 years, I've never been invited in the back room of the bank that's for white people. Yeah. I've never been invited to a Klans meeting. I've never been invited to a neo-Nazi meeting. I've never been invited to a white white supremacy meeting. Right. And I've spent 12 years with the world taking my public figure as a tattoo artist and the thousands of followers I have and being told that you would think that somebody would have tried to recruit me. Yeah. But nobody's ever tried to recruit me.
Are you upset nobody's come try to recruit?
No.
Do you feel left out?
No, I don't feel left out.
Maybe it's like, because here's one thing I always say is like, I have a lot of my left or liberal friends, they see me, some of them could see me as a conservative. Oh, you're I've been called a right-wing conservative Republican, Trump supporter, because I just don't talk about Trump online. I just don't do it. I don't say his name because I think it just promotes him more. That's one of my theories about it. And so people are like, oh, well, then you must love him. It's like, no, I don't. And when I say to my leftist friends, no, I'm politically homeless, they're like, oh, so you must be right-leaning. And they all like, because I disagree with them, assume I'm on this side of things. But when I talk to my right and conservative friends, they're like, this fucking liberal? You think this fucking liberal is one of us? You're out of your fucking mind. I'm like, they're like, you don't see what we see.
Well, we're right back to middle-minded because the reality of it is we're all in this middle pocket. And not as radicalized. I think it is, what caught me with you is the day we asked Johnny to come in and do the podcast and sit in for Dave. Yep. And sorry if I can't share this. I'm going to do it anyways. I'll ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, go.
Johnny was just too emotional, and he was too emotional. Come in afraid what he was going to say, and he was emotional the same way I was. Yes, I was emotional because somebody that I respect in Charlie Kirk, and I like what he had to say and how he did it. What was assassinated, and thinking the left, but ultimately what appalled me was all the celebration from the left.
Yeah, that's what got me.
Like we got him, we got one. Like, why? Like we're already in a physical war, and then when you are out there like just cheering on death. Through assassination too. It's not like we decided that.
They act like this is their Gettysburg.
It's not like we had said, okay, we're at war now. Doesn't help. Go kill each other, and then you're supposed to we're trying to kill the most people from each other. We're at war. We're not at war. You assassinated somebody without being able to defend himself, and then you glorified it, and that's what really bothered me.
The reaction.
And that was Johnny, I can't come in on day one. I'm just too emotional. Like, I'm watching these feeds of my friends of my family, of people close to me, or for me, fans of my artwork or tattooing, and I'm watching these responses that are so repulsive.
Yeah. I actually had a lot more on the positive side. I mean, like, hey, man, I might not agree with them, but this is murder, and murder's wrong. I had more of that. I had like 75% of that, but that 25% was very overtaking. I even commented on one of these things, and it didn't really go well for me in a sense. I'm like, because they came at me with, oh, so you support him. I'm like, look, man, this dude just died for what? Why did this guy have to die? And one of my points is always going to be, you do know that this isn't going to bode well for your side. If you're trying to get more supporters for the Democratic Party and more people to be liberal, well, they're going to watch and go like, well, most people are like, I disagree with that. This is going to get more people to walk away, which was Charlie's whole point. That was one of his whole goals, was to get people to walk away from the Democratic Party. This is going to make another 10, 15, 20% of the people walk the fuck away because y'all are crazy. But like, y'all, the way you're acting, I don't have anything to do with that.
I was looking at the California map for the presidential election in 2016, 20, and in 24.
Oh, it's
and
getting redder and redder.
Here's this California thing, and it is a big fuck you to California liberals, if you will, and I'm not afraid to say it, is you motherfuckers act like California is liberal. When you look at the voting maps, California is more red, and you go, that's empty land. Well, that's all the people who make your food.
That is.
You might want to think
and
twice about it.
And the truck drivers, and the people that bring it, that load and unload your trucks
and in
stuff.
2016, it was like a 50-50 map, because all the Fresnos and Chicos were red, and all the coastline was blue. In 2020, it was similar. In 2024, that map turned red as all motherfuck.
Yeah.
Like, it turned way red. What do you think it's going to be at the rate the left is going, while they're mocking political assassinations?
Right.
What do you think that California map's going to look like in 2000?
It was just like when Trump got shot in the air, and you saw how liberals got excited and cheered that shit on. Again, it's just another step where people are going, I'm just going to slowly get away from crazy over here. I'm not necessarily walking towards this side, but I'm walking away from this side. And that's the thing. And they're going to start going like, dude, what I do, I stopped voting Democratic. Obama's the last Democrat I voted for. I write in. I was very honest, and I got ahead of it on the last election. I literally drew a picture of Mickey Mouse, and that was my write-in for the president.
Yeah.
I wanted, because I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, you
want the Disney lead to be president? Wow.
Come on, it'd be hilarious, right? He's fucking
I don't know, not with the leaders of Disney.
Yeah, no,
right
but I thought it was funny. And the way I vote, actually, I vote on propositions, and I vote locally. That's what I care more. I personally don't care as much for the president, but I just watch, like, the Democrats, like with Kamala, you didn't give me a reason to vote for her. And I would say to them, like, why should I vote for her? And like, well, because she deserves it. Okay, again, why should I vote for her? Well, she's not Trump. Again, why should I vote her? Sell me on your product. Well, my product's better than that product. Well, how's it better?
And they had
and they wouldn't do that to me, so I went over here. Sell me on your product. Okay, I'm not going to buy that, but that's better than this because you're giving me an answer, and I wanted an answer. I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to go shopping at this place over here. I'm going shopping over there at my friend's store because I don't want to go to this mall or that mall, whatever it is.
I always thought it was funny that Tulsi Gabbard totally owned the
whole
Tulsi. Democratic Party. Dude, when she was voting for president.
Her hair is amazing.
She kicked
She
their
surfs.
ass.
She's a veteran.
And then it doesn't bother you that the left keeps eating itself.
They do.
Kennedy was from the left, Tulsi from the left.
Rogan.
Let's face it, Donald Trump is a freaking liberal. He is not a Republican. He just was not going to be able to do it on the Democrat ticket.
The more I learn about him and what he pushes, I mean, let's face it, he's a TV reality star, so he's always going to say dumb shit because people are, oh my God, did you hear what he said? The more I learn about him, he's not much more to the right than Obama and Clinton. And he's in between Bush and Obama. The only difference between him and Obama and Clinton and Bush is he didn't drop as many bombs as them.
Yeah,
those motherfuckers dropped a lot of bombs.
Most peaceful president in 4 decades.
And I'll say this about him, and I've said this, he's the only president who's ever in my lifetime, well, he wasn't president at the time when he said this, he was running again. He said something that upset me that he said it and no one else has ever said that. When they asked him about the Ukraine-Russia war, they said, how are you going to handle that? And he says, I just want people to stop dying. I want people to stop killing each other. Like, yeah, but are you going to side with Putin or are you going to side with Ukraine? He's like,
I'm going to side with peace.
I just want people to stop. I'm like, what is so hard for that concept for people to not understand? Like, yeah, we should be like, oh yeah, that's.
And this is why we go back to why I say the left shot Charlie Kirk, and it's irrelevant. It's like, well, let me say that, like, not who shot him, but who killed him.
Who killed him?
And it is the left, because you can't even acknowledge good things that happen in America under the Republican administration, like it's all bad. And that's, I think, the problem the left is losing everybody, because when you Armageddon everything, when you make everything Hitler, when you make everything, you're like the boy who cried wolf, only you did it 10,000 times, and the world's sick of it, because not only did you cry wolf, but you told everybody they are the wolf.
Yeah, right.
Like, so I'm not coming to help you. Like, you villainized me, and you lied about me, and you've done it for 12 years.
Now you're going to go help someone else out.
Yeah,
if I call for your help, you're coming to answer.
Well, and the funny thing is when, like, if a political assassination happened on the left, you don't see Republicans doing what the left just did, where they celebrate this absolute lack of human life. And it's so funny, because coming from the left, where we are the tolerant, we are the and it's no, you're full of shit. You didn't tolerate Charlie Kirk. Where was your tolerance?
And those are just the
Charlie
large voices, because we have to say about DGAB, he was very supportive of it. He came out very supportive, and actually a lot of like, however you feel about Newsom and all that, like a lot of these people, a lot of these politicians and leaders are all condemning it. A lot of them, it's just these loud, obnoxious people who are so loud and their voices are so amplified are the ones that are saying this. And like, and here's a question for you, and I'm going to give you my answer first. If someone on their side was assassinated, who would be equivalent to it, and how would you react? And I'll say my answer is Greta Thunberg. If she was assassinated, would you go online like, we got her, we finally got her? I guarantee, like, you might disagree with her beliefs. I think she's such a, in her world, or we could say in AOC and all that, in her world, she's such a voice that, like, it would have an impact. But I guarantee you 95, 98, 99% of Republicans and conservatives wouldn't be like, yes, we got her. We finally got her. No. And that to me is a big difference. And that should be the difference.
That's why this podcast is here, because that's so vulgar. And if you participated in that, I am at a period in my life where I cannot reconcile our differences. I can, obviously talk about how I don't care if people are gay, I don't care if people are trans, I don't care, like, live your life and whatnot, let me live my life. But at the end of the day, you're not following those rules when you call people Nazis and whatnot. And you're not following those rules when you glorify an assassination, not even a wrongful death or something, but an assassination. And I'm looking at my friends, and I'm here in San Francisco, and liberal, like the epicenter of liberalness. And
go to Berkeley, it's even more.
You know what I did when Charlie Kirk died? I went and got my fucking Zev 9, and I took it out of my living room counter and put it somewhere where I can get to it at the office. I took my other freaking Smith Armory block, and I put it out of its fucking nightstand, and I put it somewhere else.
Let's talk about that. Like, that feeling right there of you fearing for your life and having that's you going, do I need to protect me and my family and my business?
Because I'm traditional. Yeah. And I agree with Charlie Kirk. So now you're going to assassinate me?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I think. I'm in this liberal stronghold, and even though I'm liberal, and even though I voted Democrat in this state my entire life, because I now don't agree with the far left radicalness and people glorifying assassination, I am worried about
you shouldn't have to feel that way. No. That should not be the feeling.
How do you think little blonde girls feel what just happened with the dude on the train? Like, we keep on, like, protecting black people, but there's violence going on that you don't have to be, like, super intelligent to read the data. That this is a very violent group that needs help. And that's how I'm saying it. I'm not saying they need condemnation. I'm saying they need help.
People need help. People need help. Let's find a way to help these people.
And why can't we help people without you telling me that I hate people? Like, my daughter is transgender, gender neutral, and I want to help her. And if you knew my daughter's story, you would know that she's in a very bad mental space. Right. She actually is mentally... Okay. What's the word? I want to say disturbed.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want to go into my family history, but she needs help, and she'd be the first person to say that, yes, I need to live with help. Okay. I'm on welfare. I'm on Social Security. Right. I can't have a job. I'm very sensitive and whatnot, and I need help. And me caring for my daughter, if somebody else watches it, calls me hateful names and whatnot.
That's because they're sad at their own life. Yeah. They're not happy with life.
And I'm just trying to make my daughter, who's troubled, as happy as she can be, right, without... I'm her father. I'm not her friend. I'm not going to affirm the things in her life that she's doing that keep making her unhappy. Okay. And for me, not affirming those things that make her happy, the left and other people want to make me a villain. And I'm sick and tired of it.
You're not a villain because you're caring. All you're doing is trying to care, and you're trying to understand your daughter. I do want to go back to the Charlie Kirk thing you brought up. Like, I think this is something that I'm not seeing enough of is, why is it that you felt scared and vulnerable at that moment? That's an emotion you felt where you need, I'm worried they're coming for me. And I'm curious to how many other people felt that. I haven't seen that reaction. I haven't seen that emotion.
No, I think it's private. I just shared you a private moment.
And I think that's a wonder. I think that's something that should be public, and not just for you personally, but there's a lot of people who probably felt that way. Like, shit, who's next? Are they going after Dave Smith? Are they going after Joe Rogan? What other names that have a little bit of clout when they speak, whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't matter, that someone might disagree and might do something with?
I mean, I think everybody who's conservative and religious and, has a viewpoint of sexuality that's not pride or left-leaning, should be worried. I really think it's time to be scared.
Right.
My fear was real. I think it is real. I don't think it's made up. I just witnessed a guy, for being a husband and father, get shot down for being a husband and a father.
Because that's one of the things that, like, Dave,
like, I'm guilty of being a husband and father. So
that was
is there a target on my back?
There's a lot of people who see that too. And that's something positive that Dave brought up, was what he sees first is, here's a father, he's got a son and daughter and his wife, and his son and daughter now have to grow up without him. And that's something that emotionally Dave responded to. And a lot of people responded to. It's like, wow, you just took this man out, and now his kids have to grow up without him.
And what do you think his kids are going to be now? You think they're going to grow up and be fucking left-winging?
No. I think,
my God, you just created the next Hitler, probably.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Like, you just assassinated their father. Yeah. What do you think they're going to turn into?
I don't know their story, but I know that financially they'll be fine.
They just multiplied their income.
Yeah. So many people are trying to donate, but emotionally, what does it do to them emotionally? Like, how much presence? I don't know how much presence he had in their life. He's a public figure. I don't know what his private life without them, but that'd be more the question for people who grew up with a father.
Did you watch his wife's?
No. I honestly, I had to tune out for a day and a half because it just.
I almost had to turn it off because I was so. It was so emotional and unfortunately, I say for the left is, no matter who killed Charlie Kirk, the left, you're going to take heat for it, and it's not going away, and it's not. Now, I think you're lucky because the right has proven to be peaceful, and no buildings were burned down, no courthouses, no cops were locked in. We didn't, do.
There was a few squabbles, but that's because that's just gonna happen.
Yeah, but
you're gonna get something.
There wasn't the demolition of 2020 and beyond, and I think, and I hope, and I pray that the good people that are Republican, conservative, moderate, libertarian, independent, these are the people that are voting Republican now. They're not all stark Republicans. They're just not Democrats now. And I just hope that we stay peaceful, that we stay the better. I don't believe in turning the other cheek. If you slap me, I'm going to knock you out. Yeah. That doesn't mean because you assassinated my person, I'm going to go assassinate somebody else.
No, that'd be
but I don't think these people are going to forgive or forget. I haven't forgiven anybody for calling everybody Nazis. I'm not going to forgive you for calling people Nazi. I'm not even forgiving liberals for not stopping other liberals from calling people Nazis. So if you're on my friends list, if you're one of my followers and you all the time go out and call everybody white supremacist and Nazi, get off my list. Get off my thing. I want nothing to do with you. You are complacent in calling people vile names. We already established there is no name worse than this. So you're choosing the most painful, degrading name that you can call someone, and then you're acting like you're tolerant.
It's just a label to make you feel better about the violence you want to commit to a person that you disagree with.
And it's happening. I mean, it's just happening in that protests are supposed to be protests, but they're riots. And, you know, protests are supposed to be disruptive, but you're not supposed to block the freeway. You have no idea how many people needed to get to a hospital or whatever. Like, you're killing and hurting people in your protests. And there's a difference.
You're actually hurting your cause is what you're doing, because the majority of people, like, there's people who are like, they'll agree with that and they'll be stuck in traffic. But there's a lot of people like, hey, man, like, yeah, I'm doing my part for the planet, but now you're being a dick. You're making my life harder because, like, I agree with you, but you just made my life harder. And now, you know what? Fuck you. And I've got friends. I have my little friends.
In Florida, we were literally given permission to run over protesters. The governor says, we will come and be your legal support. We will make sure you don't go down for murder. If you are a protester who does this in Florida, run them the fuck over, because everybody else's life is in danger when they do this stupid shit.
Or just don't play in the streets where cars are.
Now I'm here in California. I'm like, damn. If they protest and they're banging on my car and they're making my life, and do I grab my gun or do I run them over? Like, I don't even know. I don't want my whole life ruined because these people thought their cause was so important.
Right. Like, why is their cause more important than your cause?
Than my safety just driving home. Right. Like, and that's what I think is happening.
And in those situations where they feel like Charlie Kirk is pushing his beliefs on them, well, they're just doing the same thing to everybody else.
Only worse.
They're doing it worse.
Charlie Kirk didn't disrupt the freaking thing. You didn't have to go to
He was just sitting there at a table going, hey, let's have a conversation, where they're physically getting and stopping you from doing what you have to do with your day-to-day life or whatever your story is. Doesn't matter.
He didn't stop and make everybody at the college listen to him. Like, you could have gone to your class, or you could have not gone to campus that day. Like, one day is not going to, like, you stopped going to go to a frat party. Why can't you not go to the campus? Because you don't like the guy who's there. It's like, leave.
You don't have to be there.
I think we need to wrap this up. I'm pretty sure we're on, like, the longest podcast we've had at this point. I don't feel like we got to everything. I think this subject is just...
It's a big subject.
There's
a lot of fields on the subject.
I just, as middle-minded, like, our goal is always to bring it back to the middle and not to allow the right or the left this platform of whatever accusations you want to throw left and right. Right here on Middle-Minded, we are people that want the independents to vote how we feel today and who we want to today, and we want our conversations to I'm not against pointing fingers in Middle-Minded, but it's so that we can help and bring people back. So I don't think we could unpack the Charlie Kirk thing. I think this was as impactful as what I think Malcolm X, MLK, Kennedy assassination. This was as big. And people are like, oh, you're comparing it to MLK. And I'm like, MLK was in the land of 3 television stations and a radio. Yeah. And if you didn't like MLK, you didn't listen.
He's a big voice.
Yeah.
He's a big voice.
But that was at a time where the population of the planet was 3 billion people. We're 8 billion people, and we have the internet. Charlie Kirk was known by hundreds of millions of people. Not just in the United States, but in the world. So this comparison to MLK, to CK, like, mark my words, I bet you this goes down in history as
a pivotal point.
As pivotal as MLK, probably more pivotal.
Again, this is the thing. Like, I'm interested to see how. Okay, this is the first week of this thing happening. A year from now, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, what are the results of this thing? Because I'm telling you now, and I'm telling my friends, my liberal friends, they don't want to agree with this. The ones who are getting too wild, maybe they're just being emotional, is that people are going to walk away from you. They don't have anything to do with you. People who are unfriending them or whatever it is, who are not going to listen to your voice, is because they think, yeah, you went a bit too far in this one. I'm not going to pay attention to anything you have to say now, so sorry.
I as a business owner woke up and I've talked to my wife for 2 days. Like, I think we need to accept not having left progressive liberals as clients, because I can no longer be silent.
Right.
Like, I've allowed my business to be censored for the last 3 or 4 years because it's highly damaging to your sales if you are political on Facebook or whatnot, because it is a divisive time. So I stopped being political online until this, and then I'm like, that's it. I'm not going to love my neighbor if they're complacent in political assassination. I'm not going to love these neighbors if they are okay with calling everybody Hitler and Nazi. Like, the line's been done. I'm done with you. If you're online calling people white supremacists or Nazis, please get off my friend list. Please get off of middle-minded. We don't want you. I'm interested in people that can have civil discussions without calling each other these foul names. And
it doesn't help. It just doesn't help at all.
It doesn't.
It doesn't help the conversation go forward at all.
You know, you're going to call me a cracker and a redneck and a white boy and a haole, and you're going to call me these 100 racial slurs, and somehow you think I'm not going to call you one back? Like, it doesn't help. So stop calling each other names and stop the thing. I mean, I'm not so innocent of it. Like, am I going to stop calling liberals idiots? I don't think so, but I'll go back to how I started this. Calling somebody a dummy is a freaking preschool insult. Calling someone Hitler is the top of we don't know a worse name. So I can't say that I'm not going to be humorous and call names, but there's a difference from calling someone libtard and calling someone a white supremacist. I just
don't believe in calling people names. It's just who I am. I'd rather just understand the person instead. I think name calling is that's just too low for me. It's too low of a bar.
Yeah.
I can think of something funnier.
I think we need to learn to walk away from conversations. I've walked away from a lot. Everybody's on my post on Facebook, and I'm in several hundred comments on my post, and I just started deleting the people that are doing this vile stuff. And even if someone's even a little towards the middle, but I feel like they're being vile, I'm just learning to delete the comment and decide. I've never been, the right doesn't delete friends for not agreeing with them. That's just not something that happens.
If that helps you mentally, that's what you need to do.
But I'm at this point where I'm done. Like, no, I'm going to start deleting friends. I like your idea of unfollow them. So they
unfollow button is a great button.
Yeah, instead of unfriend, unfollow. But I am at a point where I'm just going to, and I don't know what I'm going to do to survive. My business relies on a liberal client base. I'm here in San Francisco. I'm in St. Petersburg, probably the most liberal city in Florida. Definitely the gay or pride capital of Florida. Most people don't know that, but St. Petersburg most definitely is. So the two places I have tattoo studios and businesses are highly liberal, and it'll probably hurt my business to the point of financial suffering, but I have to draw the line. I can't listen.
You'll find new clients.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find a new audience.
Well, and that's what everybody said, like, good riddance, you don't need them. Find the good liberals, find the good leftists.
There's a ton of them out there. That's the important. I just think with the sides thing, it's like 10% on one side and 20% on the other side of just like extremes. But everybody else in the middle is just like, yeah, these are crazies. You're going to get that it doesn't matter what group, whether it's like you're in the punk rock scene or you're in this art scene or you're in that scene, whatever, every scene has crazies and annoying people in it.
Yeah.
But the majority of us are pretty rad.
Yeah.
So it keeps me going.
I mean, human beings are so freaking awesome. Like, we're so...
do terrible things, but they're pretty awesome, too.
We're so radical in our evolution in comparison to other animals on this planet. We're just amazing, and I wish people would realize, how do we become amazing? How is science done? How is evolution for humans done? And it's done by having different opinions. The very thought of innovation in science or medicine or human evolution is based on new ideas.
Yep.
So if you're constantly insulting people, you're not hearing new ideas. So we're going to close this one today. Charlie Kirk is way too big a subject to unpack. I hope that you found our conversation beneficial and helpful. Again, if you are the type to attack and be ugly and vile, stay out of our comments and stay off our channel. We're not interested. This is a rhetorical conversation for people who want to be vile and whatnot. So
love it. Just want to say to Dave, tell the Griswolds I say hi.
Always
a pleasure,
Johnny.
my friend. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.